Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters.
Ah.
All right, everybody. It is Wednesday morning, and this is the Scout Team coming at you with Scout Team Sports. We are glad to be live each and every day, Monday through Friday on 12ouncesportsradio.com. We have a great schedule ahead of us today. We have our 1 hour show. We're rolling right now, 6 a.m. We replay every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Again, that is always found on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. You can find it on 12ouncesportsradio.com, or if you go on to TuneIn and download the TuneIn app, you can always hear us on 12 Ounce Sports Radio on TuneIn. But we have an absolute phenomenal show ahead of us today. A lot of things that we're going to be covering. One, Kirk Cousins out there, documentary being released, part 1, and it kind of goes over some of the intricacies of the negotiation process. And, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We've got Floyd Mayweather coming out warning Khabib that Conor McGregor is a warrior. You better be careful. We've got Des Bryant getting mixed up on a Disney Channel star, little dispute. We'll get into that details of that a little bit later coming up. And, you know, it's going to be a great show. We're going to roll. We've got college football coming up. Tomorrow is the first big college football game, in my opinion. I am a UCF fan. UConn versus UCF. The Scout Team's going to be doing a watch party at a local sports tavern here in Central Florida. So if you are local, make sure you come and check us out and support the cause, because we want to interact with our fans. We just want to get to meet you guys. So come out, support us. We're going to do a live pregame show an hour before the game, and we're going to roll into the game. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have all kinds of fun stuff. So come check us out. It will be at Red Eye Sports Tavern in Winter Springs, Florida. So again, if you're local in the Central Florida area, make sure you come check it out. But that means college football is back. Not week 0 that happened this past weekend when you had Colorado State and Hawaii. I'm talking about the real deal. We've got the week 1 college football, UCF coming in. We've talked about it ad nauseum, but they are part of this national championship picture that we've got going on. And so, you know, I'm so excited about it. I can't control myself. But let me go ahead and start with some introductions here. I think right across from me on the other side of the interweb is a good friend of mine. We like to call him
Yeah, that's right. It's Chris America coming to you live on 12 Ounce Sports Radio every morning, Monday through Friday. It is now 6:04 a.m. Unless you're listening to a replay, then it's 11:04 a.m. We got you like that, West Coast. We got you like that, guys and gals that can't get up early enough to listen to us. We don't want you missing our Scout Team Sports, so we replay ourselves at 11 a.m. Monday through Thursday. And then I believe on Fridays, is this correct, Kyle? Fridays, it's at 10 a.m.
Yes, that is correct. You can catch us all over the place, man. We are a little bit of everywhere. And I don't know who this Kyle fellow is that you're talking about, but I am.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
That's right. I am Loudbeard and always glad to be on the microphone, Chris America. I'm glad to be here. Catch us wherever you can catch us. I really want to thank all of our listeners. We've had great numbers, great amounts of listeners coming out and listening on all the platforms, whether they're downloading our podcast, which can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere you can find podcasts, or if they're listening live. Our live listens have been through the roof. You guys are amazing. We want to keep it going. If there's anything that you want to hear us talk about or you want us to just mention, tell us about it. Hit us up on social media at Scout Team Radio on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You know what? We're kind of game for talking about anything. We love sports, but we can get a little weird from time to time. Don't you agree, Chris America?
Yeah, we've talked about lots of things. We've talked about, gosh, I don't even, it's hard to go back to all the different rabbit holes that we've gone down, but yeah, we like to get a little sidetracked. And on Friday nights, if you listen in tonight, 7:30, that's our original start time. That's where we got our start on 12 Ounce Sports Radio's Wednesday nights at 7:30. And now we're trying to take this show daily so we can give the listeners and the fans what they want, and that's more Loudbeard, more Man with the Golden Mic, and more Chris America. So we've decided to make our nightly show to be Scout Team After Dark. Make sure you tune in, and then we're going to give a little bonus Scout Team After Dark. You mentioned it. We're going to be at Red Eye Sports Tavern in Winter Springs. Tomorrow night we'll be on from 6 to 7. That'll be the pregame show, the preseason show, because it's really before the season starts.
It is. We're leading us into a great season of college football. We're leading the listeners in the right direction and showing them where they can watch and where they can be supported. And then the next morning, you can come back and listen to us live that next morning. So it is all around a great thing. But Chris America, I think we have propped up the show enough. I think we're ready to talk some sports. There is so much going on in the world of sports right now. Football is just all over the place. I love talking about it. Lots going on in college football, lots going on in pro football. I don't even know where to get started, but I'm thinking let's start out talking a little bit about this Kirk Cousins situation. You want to kind of explain what we got going on with Kirk Cousins? I think he was offered something better than he took. This is getting kind of weird.
Yeah, I see this tweet drop that Kirk Cousins reportedly left $90 million guaranteed on the table with the New York Jets to go play for the Vikings. And you know what my thought was? I do not blame him.
No, you really can't blame him. What I read was there's a documentary going on out there. I didn't get all the details. I don't know if it's the Sports Turd doing it or one of these other media outlets. But there is a documentary out there, and it's kind of chronicling the, I guess, everything that you go through when you are doing this negotiation. So, yeah, Kirk Cousins, the day of free agency, gets a call from the New York Jets, gets a $90 million guaranteed contract, and I think he kind of said, let's see what else is out there. Vikings put an offer on the table, and I think he had the option to take a little bit less, go to the Vikings, and be on a team that's a winning team that he could, possibly have Super Bowl aspirations, or he could go to the Jets. What would you do?
Where quarterbacks go to die. I mean, who is the last Jets quarterback that you remember thinking, man, I got to have this guy on my fantasy team. He's gonna be a future Hall of Famer. And even when you think back to, I'm bad with names, Kyle. Help me out here. Who's the Jet player that won the Super Bowl?
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath. There you go. I was.
You're going that far back. You're going way back.
Far back.
Broadway Joe.
Even when you look at Broadway Joe's career, he wasn't really that great of a quarterback. Like, we remember him chilling out by the pool in Miami, giving out the outrageous prediction that they were going to beat the Colts, which at the time, Johnny Unitas and the Colts were basically what the New England Patriots are today. They were the team to beat in that era. So it would kind of be like Nick Foles sitting by the pool and being like, yo, guys, chill out. We're going to beat the New England Patriots, guaranteed. And he did. And then he just really didn't do anything after that. But we just remember he made that prediction, and it came true, and the rest is history. So, yeah, I wouldn't have gone to the Jets is what I'm saying.
No,
quarterback killers.
No, yeah, they are quarterback killers. And you said, what Jet quarterback have you been excited about over the last so many years? And there really has not been any. When you look back, you had the Mark Sanchez. He was good at one point when he was bringing them to AFC championships, but he was never, ever great. He was never a guy that you would say he's a top 5 quarterback in the league.
No.
I liked
And
Chad Pennington when he was on the team. He was okay, but he was always hurt. There's issues there. One of the best quarterbacks ever to play for the Jets is Brett Favre, but one of his worst years is when he was playing for the Jets. So I don't even know how to describe it, but I can't blame Kirk Cousins. You know he's my guy because I have that Washington Redskins connection. So I wish him the best in Minnesota, and I'm kind of glad he made that decision to go over to the Vikings.
So this is the weird thing about Kirk Cousins, though. So we now have 2 teams willing to guarantee a ton of money to Kirk Cousins. We have NFL fans and NFL media who don't buy into Kirk Cousins at all. And then we have his original team and his original coach who basically wasn't willing to do what the Jets and the Vikings could do. So who's right about Kirk Cousins here, Kyle? Is it the Vikings? Is it the Jets? Or is it the Redskins, the media, and the non-Redskins fans? Or there were some Redskins fans that weren't buying into Kirk Cousins either when he was there.
Yeah, there was some points where we thought Kirk Cousins was going to take that next step, and he never quite did. I think what you're seeing here is the potential. When you look at other quarterbacks that got huge contracts in this offseason, Jimmy Garoppolo, when he got his huge contract, it's based on potential. So what the Vikings and the Jets are saying is we're taking a shot on a guy that we think can be the starter for the next 10 to 15 years. He can be our franchise quarterback that we do not have to worry about, and we see that potential in him, and we want to take that chance. You cannot find quality starting quarterbacks that are potential Pro Bowlers just sitting around anywhere. And unfortunately, in the NFL, the quarterback is so much more valuable than any other position on the field that these teams are so desperate to find the right guy, because if you do not have a quarterback, it really makes it difficult to be a great team. And I think what you end up finding is that these teams are like, we don't mind paying the money just to think that we have hope. You're paying for hope. You're paying for the idea that we have a chance. You want to go into the season thinking we have a chance. If you don't have a quarterback, you go into the season thinking, I hope we make it through the year and not be 0-16.
Yeah, and you bring up that potential part and what they're paying for, and you're 100% correct about that. I mean, we've seen Derek Carr, we've seen Kirk Cousins, we've seen Jimmy Garoppolo. Is the quarterback really the only position in all of American sports? I can't speak for professional soccer, but in America, is it the only position in sports where we pay a player for their potential instead of for what they've produced on the field? Because I'm sitting here racking my brain. We're looking at Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant didn't get a $95 million contract because of potential. We gave him a $95 million contract because of what he's already done, because he was the fastest player ever in history to reach 4,000 receiving yards. You look at guys like Khalil Mack and what was it, Arnold, that we talked about yesterday. Those guys already proved themselves to get their contract, and they're fighting for more money or to be the top defender in their, or to be the top paid player in their position. But the quarterback, man, I can't think of any other position in sports where we're like, this, we think this guy's good. He's shown some flashes, so let's go ahead and bring up the $90 million to his doorstep. Can you think of any other position like that, Kyle?
I can't think of a position. The only other league that I would say is kind of like this is the NBA. They're giving some of these guys that are, they're basically role players that are kind of showing a little bit of potential and giving them these huge contracts. I think of Chandler Parsons, who is a Central Florida guy. He goes out there, he shows a little bit of potential. He gets like some $80 or $90 million contract, and he's hurt for like 3 years. You see that in the NBA, but that's based off of you're a 5-player team, and you want to make sure that you have the best 5 players. In the NFL, you have such a huge roster, but the one position peaks at the very top is the quarterback, and you put so much emphasis in that, you're willing to overpay no matter what just to think that you can get that right guy. And I think that is crazy. And you bring up some good guys. You said Dez Bryant, but I think you met Odell Beckham, OBJ. And
God, morning number 2, man. It's 6 a.m. One of these mornings I will get it right where I will say exactly what I mean and who I have in my head.
Well, you bring up a good point, though, because Odell Beckham, he has put it on the field, and he got that big contract and earned it. The NFL kind of structured this where originally, or at least a few years back, these quarterbacks and some of these first-round picks that were going 1, 2, and 3 were getting these huge, massive guaranteed deals based off of potential, and they ended up having to do the rookie wage scale because of guys like Sam Bradford, who got a ridiculous contract. And now they have to kind of earn it, but when these guys are still in the rookie deals like Khalil Mack, like Aaron Donald, and they realize, okay, I've outperformed my contract, then these guys start holding out and demanding more. And honestly, they've earned it. They deserve it. These teams need to pay them, and so we need to give the guys the money that they deserve. Now, Kirk Cousins has had some good years. Now, did he play as well as what the contract that was given to him? I don't know. But, and with Odell Beckham, I'm just going to throw out a little side note here. He was asked recently if he's going to live up to his contract. Now that's the media wants to say, are you worth it? Are you worth it? And he comes out and he says, I want to be legendary. So the guy is not missing any self-confidence. This guy has so much confidence. He's ready to show it. And hopefully he's one of those guys that doesn't get paid and just slacks off and gets lazy. Hopefully he's one of these guys that gets paid and then goes out there and shows everybody that he's worth it. That's what I'd love to see.
I think wide receivers sometimes get misunderstood with their diva-ness. We see the diva-ness and we think, oh, they're just all about themselves, which is true. But if there's one thing that wide receivers have, I think, over other skilled positions, is they do have this drive to be the best at their position. We think about Chad Ochocinco and all the shenanigans he did, but you could tell Chad Ochocinco wanted to be the best receiver of all time. He wanted to chase down Jerry Rice. And that's kind of why they turn into that selfishness and me attitude and, hey, why aren't you throwing me the ball? Because they get annoyed with the fact that they can't control their destiny. They're relying on their quarterback. They're relying on the play calling. So that's why they bring out their frustrations. We've seen OBJ kicking the net because he's not getting his way. So I don't ever foresee OBJ being that guy that's like, no, I'm just going to take the next few weeks off because I get paid $95 million. I think these guys always want to chase it, no matter how diva or how crazy or out to lunch they are. Wide receivers, to me, at least the great ones, the ones that are the Randy Mosses, the Terrell Owens, the Chad Ochocincos, the Jerry Rices, those guys always want to be the best. And no matter how crazy they get, that's what they want. I mean, Terrell Owens was the same way. All the shenanigans aside, that guy competed on every play for the most part.
Yeah, he was he's a world-class talent, and he always put it on the field. Everything that he did on the field there was never an argument about how talented he was or how well he played. It was always his crap off the field. It kind of reminds me of another diva. Now, this guy isn't a wide receiver, but he is definitely in diva category. That would be Johnny Manziel. Johnny comes out and he says that, he was excited when he was drafted by Cleveland in the first round. He said as soon as he landed in Ohio, he thought to himself, man, I wish I could go back to college. He never once liked Cleveland. He never liked being in Ohio, and I think he showed it. So when you don't love what you do and you don't put that passion on the field and you go straight diva and don't care, the result is Johnny Manziel. So guys like T.O., at least they're not doing that on the field. They're being jerks off the field, showing their how big their egos are off the field, like Johnny Manziel, but at least they put it on the field. I think Dez Bryant has put it on the field, though his skills have diminished, but he's kind of still doing a little bit of that diva action because he says that he's going to wait a little while before he ends up signing with the team. He's a little discouraged because the Browns are offering him less than $5 million. I think he thinks he's worth a lot more than teams are willing to pay him, so he may sit out a while. Dez might not sign with a team until a star wide receiver gets hurt week 3 or week 4 and a team gets desperate. I don't know. You think this is a good move for Dez or not, waiting to get more than $5 million?
Well, there's a reason why I said Des Bryant earlier and not OBJ, and that's because he was on my mind this morning. I saw a tweet from him, and there could be another reason why he's holding out that he's not saying. I think he wants to get in the boxing ring.
Yeah, I know. I saw this story. Yeah, this is fun. This is kind of a fun story. And just on a side note, my daughter, I've got a 15-year-old daughter to all the listeners out there, and or I said 15, she's 16, sorry. She's going to get mad at me later. She's going to kill me. But she's a 16-year-old daughter, and the mind of a 16-year-old is a lot different than us old men. And she was telling me that on the show I needed to talk about this story, and she was telling me last week, Logan Paul was fighting KSI. I don't even know who half these people are. I'm going to just roll with it. They're reality stars or YouTube stars.
They're YouTubers.
Yeah, they're YouTube famous.
One's a promoter, and we basically got like a Mayfield versus Conor McGregor fight, only neither one of these guys are fighters or boxers.
Yeah, and she watched it. She said that it was a controversial draw. She thinks that one of them beat up the other one pretty good, and it was unfairly a draw. I don't even remember who was who.
Wait, she actually thought this thing was real?
Don't get into it. I thought wrestling was real when I was a kid, so
let's just
That's not
true.
like break 16. The hearts of all the
I'll give
fans.
her a pass.
Yeah, let's do that.
So what happened was Des Bryant. So there's Logan Paul, which I guess is a YouTuber, and he has a brother named Jake Paul, who was a Disney star, I guess. I don't know. He was in some weird show named Bizarre Dark or something. I was looking this up to see who and why this person is wanting to box Des Bryant, or why Des Bryant's wanting to box this person. So Des Bryant slid into Jake Paul's DMs to say, hey, man, congrats on the fight. And then he was like, oops, my bad. I thought it was your brother. And then Jake Paul just like went off on him for confusing the two, like it really matters. And some guy tweeted out to Des, like, who the F is Jake Paul? Stop making people famous, Des Bryant. And then Des Bryant said, I don't know why the dude got salty. I thought I was following his brother to tell him congratulations. I was wrong. I guess he called himself trying to clown, I guess. And then he goes, when we get in the boxing ring, though, if he want to smoke. Or we can get in the boxing ring, though, if we want to smoke. So, yeah, Des Bryant, buddy, I think you should focus on getting on a team rather than boxing no-named YouTube. I guess they are named people because you said your 16-year-old daughter knows who these people are.
Oh, yeah. These are huge in the YouTube world. The 15-year-old, 16, and 17-year-old girls and boys out there, these guys are superstars to them. They know them like they're The Rock or Oprah. These are big names. This is no joke. Now, I have no idea who they are because I'm not cool. But from what she said this is like blowing up on the internet. Like this fight was such a huge hype. And like you had mentioned, the McGregor-Mayweather fight to us, this is what that was to them. So these guys it's a big deal in somebody's life, just not ours. But Des got involved, and he probably shouldn't have gotten involved, but he ended up getting involved in this. And you know what? I think it's funny. You know what, Des? Yeah, call him out. I think Des was like, dude, why'd you get so pissed off? But, if you want to spar, I would whoop your ass. Like, that's what Des is thinking.
Yeah, I don't know how tall this Jake Paul. Didn't mean to confuse you, Jake. Don't want to get in a boxing match because I confused you with your stupid brother. But I would have to assume that Des Bryant is a lot taller and has a bigger reach. So, yeah, it's crazy. But I get entertained by these side stories. And I agree with you on your original take about Des wanting to wait for a better team. But I think he should take that Cleveland gig. Cleveland's their offense should be much improved. And with Des Bryant as an option for Baker Mayfield or Tyrod, it's not Tyrod, it's Tyrod, in case you're wondering.
Tyrod, I did not know that.
I've been hearing that a lot lately from the Cleveland fans, that it's pronounced Tyrod and not Tyrod. I guess Buffalo has been saying it wrong all these years, and Cleveland fans know. I don't know, but
weird.
Anyway, so we're coming up on a break soon, but before that, what else we got on the slate before on the other side of the break, Kyle?
Let's say I think all of our listeners should stay tuned because there is going to be a story, and I'm telling you right now that if you like Snoop Dogg, baby poop, and gravy wrestling, you need to stay tuned. We'll see you on the flip side, guys.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. "12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst."
Oh, guess who it is? Did you know the station had a janitor? Oh yeah, the Hefe, otherwise known as Beck. And it's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-Ounce Sports Radio every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch interviews, special guests, and the recap of the week's news and headlines and box scores and results. It's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. Oh, it's summertime. And what's that mean? We're all heading off to the golf course. But don't go too fast. Make sure you go to 12ouncesportsradio.com and book a tee time. At the bottom of any page, you'll see Book Like a Pro. Click that banner, enter your course of choice or zip code, find a tee time you like, book that tee time, and you'll get up to 50% off, courtesy of 12-Ounce Sports Radio. Book like a pro, even if you don't play like one.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Yeah, that's right. This is Loudbeard, and this is a new segment we like to call Loudbeard Gets Weird. Each and every Wednesday, we're going to do hashtag Weird Wednesday, and I am going to go over the weird news that looks fun to me, and, you know, I just want to be able to go over with you guys because I think everybody needs a little weird news in their life. All right, so first story, Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is releasing his first cookbook. The name of this cookbook is Crook to Cook. Now, that's a good name for a cookbook, I guess. He's calling himself a crook. We'll go with that. So Snoop Dogg's releasing his brand new cookbook, and it's not what you think, guys. I know everybody's thinking out there, okay, what kind of edible recipes might be on this thing? This is a non-cannabis-based cookbook. This is just one of those regular cookbooks. He's got all of his favorite recipes. He says, you know, it's blaze it up in my kitchen. That's what Snoop Dogg thinks. But coming out in 2020, he will have his cannabis-themed cookbooks coming out. So keep an eye out for Snoop Dogg and his new selection of cookbooks coming to you soon. Now, listeners, I want you to be healthy. And, you know, with weird news, sometimes people eat weird things. And if you guys want to stay healthy out there, if you're worried about having a probiotic type of diet where, you know, you just have that internal health, there is a report out there saying that baby poo is great for the probiotic health. It's good for digesting. If you do a baby poo cocktail, it could boost your gut health and combat a variety of diseases, scientists have said. So I don't know which scientists have tested baby poo, but some of these scientists somehow believe that baby poo is good for your health. This is something, maybe this is why Anthony Mack is so healthy. I don't know. And the last weird Loudbeard story of the week is going to be about the World Gravy Wrestling Championships. That's right, there is a World Gravy Wrestling Championship, and I think that this is one of the greatest sports I've ever seen. There is a video online. If you want to Google World Gravy Wrestling Championship, go ahead and do that. But this past weekend, competitors plunged into a pool of gravy in Great Britain to grapple in the World Gravy Wrestling Championship. So this looks like a lot of fun. These guys came out. It was full wrestling garb. Everybody was wearing cool outfits. They're going in there wrestling in gravy. They're raising money for great causes. Looked like a lot of fun. So congratulations to all the winners over at the World Gravy Wrestling Championships. So those are the weird news stories of the week. Chris America, welcome back, my friend. We are back on the other side. No more talking about weird news. We're ready to get back into the real sports landscape. How you doing, bud?
I got to turn my mic on. Always.
Maybe
gotta turn my
you're
mic
not
on.
back, man.
Always got to turn my mic on. I always forget. Yeah, I think we should bring out a kiddie pool and like 50 packets of gravy and get Anthony involved in this gravy wrestling at tomorrow night's show.
Oh, I think that would be great. All the fans would come out. Like, we would have millions of people coming out. It would be bigger than the Logan Paul KSI fight if it was just Anthony Mack versus a kiddie pool of gravy.
Yeah, I think it should be all of the UCF fans, Twitter Mafia versus Anthony Mack. Winner makes Anthony have to either say they're the national champs or they're not the national champs.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, especially since we got the big UCF game coming on. I guess to all of our listeners out there, thank you. We are the Scout Team. This is our Scout Team Sports in the Morning. Tonight, Wednesday night, we do have our Scout Team After Dark show coming on, 7:30 to 9 o'clock. Again, thank you for listening to 12-Ounce Sports Radio. You can always hit us up on social media at Scout Team Radio. That's Facebook, Instagram, or on the Twitter machine. And we can be found on podcasts. If you do not catch the live show later in the day, the podcast is available. Check it out on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. That's also great. And on 12-Ounce Sports Radio, you know, we want to give a little love where love is deserved. Last night we had a brand new show airing for the first time on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. The guy putting on the show is Captain Lou. Captain Lou, we want to give you a shout out, man. Great show last night. He gave a little bit of love to the Scout Team. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for listening to our show. But, man, great show last night. We really enjoyed it. Chris, you got a chance to listen a little bit to it. Did you have a good time listening to Captain Lou?
Yeah, Captain Lou was the best. Second best next to you, Loudbeard. I don't want you to get jealous. But it was
I'm a
really
diva.
Good, yeah, you are a diva. It was a great show. He has this really interesting competition. Make sure you tune into him so you can get involved. But he does this thing where you do picks against him, and if you beat him in your picks, you get to enter a chance to win $100 at the end of the season. So make sure you get in contact. I think it's at Captain Lou. Let me just double check his Twitter handle really fast. But you can get in with him. You can email him, or you can slide into his DMs, give him your picks, and then if you beat him with the picks, you get $100. And he picked UConn in the points. I don't know which. I had to tune out by the time he got to his picks. You know, we started off early. We got to get up early. So I'm sorry, Captain Lou. I had to get to bed at 9:15, 9:30, so I wasn't able to hear your picks. But I do know that 12-Ounce Sports tagged us and said, hey, he picked against UConn. I'm not sure which point spread he's going against, so I went with Odd Sharks. UCF is a 23-point favorite. He's picking UConn and the points. I don't think he's picking him to win, but just that UCF won't cover the spread. I think I'm going to have to go with UCF covering the spread. I'm going to trust in Randy Shannon, making that defense good again. So I'm going to go with UCF. What do you think about Kyle?
Obviously, I'm going to go that UCF's going to cover that spread, man. We're a little biased because we are UCF guys. You're more of a Gator guy, but we are here in Central Florida, so we do get give a little extra love to the UCF Knights. I would say, other than that prediction that UConn was not gonna, or UCF wasn't gonna cover the spread. Other than that, Captain Lou's all right guy. Other than that one thing.
Yeah, and I finally pulled it up. It's at Real Captain Lou. Captain, the whole word. There's no abbreviation for Captain, and Lou, L-O-U. So at Real Captain Lou. You can follow him, figure out what his picks are. Make sure you listen every Tuesday from 8 to 10, and try to win yourself $100. I know there's a lot of you guys out there who think you're pick masters, so why not get paid for it and listen to Real Captain Lou? My only hesitation on picking UCF with that 23 line is 23 is a lot of points, and UCF likes to go up big and then rest everybody. And I could see them going up like 45-0, and then putting in their or going up like 45-10, and then putting in their backups or third stringers, and UConn getting like a cheap 2 touchdowns or something to where they can't cover that spread.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, man. It could happen, but I definitely think UCF's going to cover that spread. But we definitely appreciate Captain Lou for what he was doing. I'm going to give a little bit of love out to some of these other shows on 12 Ounce Sports Radio real quick. We've got the schedule ahead of us for today. TNT Sports is on immediately after our show. So at 7 a.m., do not tune us out at 12 Ounce Sports Radio. Go and listen to TNT Sports. Clutch Talk Sports is on at 8. You've got us replaying at 11, Hog Nation Live. Check these guys out at noon. Steve in the Hood on at 2. Girls Beer Sports this afternoon at 4. We've got Reality Check-In at 5 p.m. It's an audio replay. They went live on 12 Ounce Sports Radio TV. So it's 12 Ounce Sports TV, I guess?
Yeah, I was watching them. Loudbeard, were you jealous of that beard that Matt Melendez was sporting?
A little bit. I mean, it's getting kind of crazy, though. He looks kind of... He's taking it a little bit to the next level. I don't know if I can go that full-out beard, man.
You can tell that man has not trimmed that beard in quite some time.
A very, very long time. And then
I think I saw a bird nest in there, too.
Yeah, is that what was poking out of that beard? I
Yeah,
wasn't sure if it was a snake
little chick
or a
looking
chick.
for food. I think it was lunchtime for those birds, and he was too busy on the show that he couldn't feed them. So, yeah, I think that's what was going on there.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was a great show yesterday. Replays tonight at 5. And then the last two shows I want to give love to. We Talk Sports Good. They come on after our show. They're at 9:30 tonight. And then also live from the 815 is on 6:30 tonight. So it's a full schedule. Wednesdays are one of the best days on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. So we've got to make sure we give all those hosts love because that's a great lineup, man. I'm going to be listening all day long. I love it. I love what's going on there. So, hey, Chris America, I know you're a big Florida Gators fan. We were talking UCF. We're talking college football. But I was reading a CBS Sports article, and they were doing a little bit of a college football preview. They were talking about who they thought was going to be, best teams and all this stuff. And they had all their sports writers come in and say what teams they felt like were the most underrated teams in college football this year. And I thought it was interesting because the first two sports writers had completely differing opinions. The first sports writer said that he thought the Florida Gators were the most underrated team this year, and that sports writer was Tom Fernelli. The second sports writer, Barton Simmons, he thought Florida State was the most underrated team this year. Now, it's a little bit biased, but out of Florida and Florida State, who do you think is the most underrated team this year?
This may surprise the man with the golden mic and a lot of my fans, but based on recruiting and everything that's gone on, Florida State is a win-now team. This is a team that 2 or 3 years ago had a top 5 recruiting class. The year before that, they had a top 5 recruiting class. They've done well recruiting. Jimbo Fisher, for all of his faults, was not a bad recruiter. So they should play better than what they did last year. So, but it's hard to say because Florida State got ranked 17th, and I don't know that they deserve that ranking. And Florida wasn't. It's tough. It's hard for me to say because I want to say it's Florida, but I think Florida is correctly rated for what they've given. Now, if Florida comes out and wins 10 games and Florida State wins 8, then I would have to say, well, we now know that it was Florida that was totally more underrated than Florida State. But I don't know, man. I think Willie Taggart's in a win-now situation. I know Anthony's like, oh, we got to give him some time. I'm curbing my expectations. But he has all the talent in the world on that team. So if he's the coach that he's hired to be, why is he needing time? I don't know. So I don't know if that answers your question. I kind of rode the fence and then went with Florida State.
Okay, no, that's perfectly good. I mean, I was looking at it and thinking about it, and I know between you and Anthony, there's always a lot of good banter back and forth about the Florida State rivalry. I think as an outside observer, I would look at it. The only thing I would say about Florida State being underrated is they came off such a rough year last year, and they're already being given this high ranking.
Yeah.
But they're going, they're at like 16 or 17 in the coaches poll, AP poll, that sort of thing. they could easily be in the top 5 by the end of the year. And then, yeah, absolutely, 100% underrated. Same thing with Florida. Florida is not in a lot of these top 25 preseason rankings. But if they come out and have a strong showing, even if they have a 10-win season, they're going to probably be in the top 20. And so then, yeah, they would be underrated. Out of the two teams, I agree with you. I think Florida State is probably the most underrated. I give them heat all the time. I think it's just fun because I think Florida State fans get so animated about their team, and they seem like they have these delusions of grandeur sometimes. So I like to give them crap. But for the most part, they do have a great team. And with Francois coming back, they could be extremely dangerous and be a top 5 team by the end of the year.
Yeah, and I was looking at their schedule last night, Florida State, that is, to prepare for tonight's show. We're going to go over a little few college football teams, give out some predictions, a little preseason show. And they could go 6-6, though. I'm looking at their schedule. Some of the teams that they could lose to, they could lose right out the gate to Virginia Tech. Obviously, they can lose to Clemson. Who else do I got on there? Let's see. Where did I? Okay, so yeah, they can lose to Clemson, Louisville, Boston College, Notre Dame, and Florida. Those are all teams that they can lose to.
Yeah, I mean, the schedule's tough. It is a extremely tough schedule, so we can't just say it's going to be a walk in the park. They just have
and I forgot
the talent.
NC State as well. Yeah, NC State.
Yeah, and
could also
NC
beat
State's,
them.
I think they're underrated, but that's another side story. But yeah, they have a tough schedule. They have a lot to prove because they're coming off a terrible year. They have a new coach. They have a quarterback coming off injury. There's a lot of question marks there. But if all the pieces come together, they could be a very dangerous team. So we just got to see if they can keep it up and make it work together. Is this team going to believe in Willie T? Is Willie T the answer? Is his motivational speeches, his coach talk, is it working right now because it's fresh? Will it work throughout the season, or will kids get tired of it? Who knows? But let's see what happens. That's the best part about the season starting is you can actually see it on the field, and we don't have to just talk about it. We can actually talk about what happened and not speculate about what's going to happen.
Yeah, agreed, man. And I'm pumped. I cannot wait. I'm like the Memorial Day. No, sorry, not Memorial Day. Labor Day weekend holiday is probably my number 2 or number 1 sports holiday weekend. It's rival between that and Thanksgiving. The only reason why Thanksgiving gets the edge is because college football season's winding down and I'm sad, but there's turkey and all this food to get me over it. It's kind of like a win-win where I love the Labor Day weekend, especially nowadays where ESPN and Fox is getting involved. They're throwing ridiculous amounts of money at these schools to make them play each other. We got Notre Dame versus Michigan this weekend. We got Florida State, Virginia Tech. We got Louisville versus Alabama, which a lot of people think is going to be ho-hum, but I kind of want to see what Pitino can do against Nick Saban. I like the offense versus defense matchup. There's a lot of other games I'm sure I'm forgetting. UCF versus UConn. I know everybody's excited about Florida versus Charleston Southern. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's a great matchup. The problem in week 1 is a lot of times they are these cupcake games for some of these big programs. It is nice that they are mixing in a couple big games. The Alabama-Louisville game, that is probably the marquee game of the weekend. And it's here in Central Florida, so that's always fun for us. We get to see all the Alabama fans roll into UCF territory, and they can kind of strut around like they're the only national champions, but we know that there are co-national champions out there. During that game, I've seen a local attorney here in Central Florida has purchased one of those banners where like the plane flies it over the stadium, and he said it's going to say like co-national champions, check out blah, 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 law.com, whatever the law firm is. I don't even remember. But I think it's funny that during the Alabama-Louisville game, there will be a sign banner flown over the stadium that says UCF co-national champions.
Yeah, I have to say, if I was ridiculously wealthy, I'd probably have things flying over stadiums and posting billboards all the time just because I'm bored.
Yeah, that and it's just fun. I mean, if you have that kind of money, you got to entertain yourself. This is the entertainment of the rich right here, and we can all enjoy it. We'll be there one day, Chris America.
We will
we
be.
have our names in the lights as 12 Ounce Sports Radio blows up, we will be there one day where we could just frivolously throw money out the window at a billboard, at whatever we've got to throw it at. Who cares? We're just doing it, man.
Yeah,
I love
just
it.
have random like Joe Dirt quotes or like I don't know, like "Spank you very much," just from Ace Ventura. You know, just randomness out of my boredom and my desire, my need to entertain the masses, and that's why we're doing what we're doing.
That's right. There is a big need for that. You know, a lot going on in college football. I don't know. Do you want to talk a little bit more college football, or we want to go on some of our miscellaneous other sports and just see if we go from there? You had a story about some Urban Meyer texts, I believe it was. You want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah. So I got a little inside information from Tabs. She's a Michigan fan, so she's got her finger on the pulse of this Ohio State story, like only a Michigan fan can. And I got to look more into this. So I'm not going to say that these are factual things. I got it. I woke up this morning. I had them in my DM box, all these text messages. So I'm going to assume they're legit. She's always giving me good information. But a couple of notes from the text message was the night before the media days. You can see Urban Meyer saying that he was fired for cumulative stuff. I will not tell media. So therefore, it wasn't drugs. It wasn't his forgetfulness. He was just flat out lying. But, you know, Ohio State fans will tell you he's not paid to tell the truth to the media. So that's fine. So then on August 2nd, we get a message from his agent that says, "You up?" And it looks like this is at 3:19 a.m. I don't know who's awake at 3:19 a.m. I guess if you're worried about losing your job and you know, you're going through a scandal, you're awake. His agent said, somebody named Laura and Colleen will be at your place at 11. They anticipate they will need 4 hours with your phone, as well as some time with you and Shelly. So it sounds like these are like basically, you ever remember watching Breaking Bad?
Yep, loved it.
What was it? His name was like Big Mike or just Mike, the cleanup guy for Saul?
Yeah, he was like the hired thug.
Yeah, it sounds like Colleen and Laura are the Mike of this operation, and they needed 4 hours with his phone to delete messages. And now, why is this important? Well, when you are a media member, or just anybody really, and you go to the government, like Ohio State is, the state government, and say, I need this information. I have a Freedom of Information Act. If once you get that request, you start deleting stuff, that's illegal. That's against the law. So Urban Meyer's not done being in hot water, and this is more of a serious thing for Urban Meyer than anything he's gone through so far. So he better hope that circumstantial evidence that we have right now is all that's out there about him deleting these text messages, because he can find himself in some serious trouble with the Freedom of Information Act and those kind of laws that go well beyond what he was doing with earlier with the whole Zach Smith stuff.
Yeah, and I saw a report that Tom Herman was the guy that was with Zach Smith at the strip club. It was confirmed in one of these reports. So, this story, it's never going to go away. I think eventually this smell will get a little bit lower and lower, and it won't stink as bad. But, man, this whole thing has just been a circus, man. I'm tired of hearing about it. It's sad that this happened. It's sad that his apology was awful. It's sad that what happened to Courtney Smith. I think the whole thing is just awful, man. I'm just ready for it to be over.
I'm with you too, but we have a duty to the fans to bring them the latest news, to bring them the latest information. That's why I wanted to bring it to light. No, Jeff, I'm not a Gator who hates Urban Meyer, so I'm trying to talk negative. We gotta give out the facts. We gotta give out the truth. And if there's still more stuff floating around, it's not going to go away. And I mentioned earlier, it's not a big deal to lie to the media. It's not in the sense of morality and everything, but if there's one thing the media hates, it's being lied to. So when you lie to them, they get pissed off and they start digging and digging and digging until they tell you, hey, the next time just don't lie to us. Just tell us the truth and we'll go away. So I got nothing else on that, man. If you do,
No, I don't got nothing else. I've got a couple other little small stories I want to bring up because I think these are pertinent to what's going on right now in the world. But I don't know if you read this or saw this or not, but Bob Costas, he's negotiating terms to leave NBC. Now, I don't know about you, Chris America, but the irony or the coincidence that this is happening the same time that the Scout team goes live, that 12-ounce sports radio goes and relaunches their network, one of the greatest sports commentators and broadcasters of all time, Bob Costas, is negotiating terms to leave NBC. And I don't know if it's just coincidence, but the rumors are swirling. I think he's leaving because he loves what we are doing at 12-ounce sports radio, and he loves what we're doing with the Scout team. I'm just saying he's jealous. He doesn't want to be a part of NBC anymore because he knows there are better sports networks out there. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a little bit of jealousy. I've heard things like, I can't compete with these guys. These guys are too good. I've also heard that they're so good that I want to listen to them, so I need more time to listen to them. I can't be getting up at 6 a.m. to listen to them and cover the Olympics. I can't do both, guys. So, I mean, what would you rather do? Listen to Scout Team Sports, listen to 12-ounce sports radio, or cover the Olympics? I think the answer is clear.
Oh, it's obvious. It's an obvious answer. It's always going to be that way. And, it's one of those things where it's a no-brainer for Bob Costas. I mean, for me, it would be the same way. It's a no-brainer. Now, I will say that on a side note, moving on from the Bob Costas thing, you and I had a bet that we talked about on our Wednesday night show, and I don't think we've given it the full attention it needs to be given here. But I did want to say to you that the great Floyd Mayweather has come out, and he is warning Khabib that Conor McGregor is a warrior. He better be careful. I'm just saying, Floyd Mayweather's telling somebody that they better be careful. It is also a no-brainer that Conor McGregor's going to win this big UFC fight coming up here in September.
Yeah, we got a romper on this. Anytime McGregor fights, we like to put a romper on it. Unfortunately, Conor hasn't fought much since we've been on air. This is only his second fight in the year and 2 months that we've been doing this little ditty. But, I think Khabib already knows how much of a warrior Conor McGregor is. You just got to turn on any of Conor McGregor's fight to see what kind of guy he is in the ring. This is probably my most nervous bet I've made so far since we've been on air. And the reason why is both of these guys, if you've watched the tape, you've studied like I have, I've watched hours and hours poring over fight videos of these two gentlemen. And the one thing that I've noticed, and you would notice it too, is these guys fight with their hands down. And the reason why that's important is it's really hard to defend your face if your hands are lowered. So at any moment's notice, one of these guys could deliver just a rock-solid punch. We know both of these fighters got some heavy hands. They're hard hitters. They're straight ballers. And if you're not ready to defend yourself and you connect right with the jawline, it's lights out. So I'm excited for this fight. We're still a month away. It's probably why we haven't really given it too much credence. We're still a month away from this fight. I think it's October 6th. It can't get here soon enough. I'm ready for it. I know the guys over at Uneducated Fight Club are ready for it. So let's do it, man.
Oh, I know. It's going to be a great fight. Man, we only have a couple more minutes left here, Chris America. And I want to say an apology to our fans. We have not mentioned baseball once since we've been doing our morning show. It is now Wednesday. We're 3 days in, 2 minutes left. And I just got to say, our Tampa Bay Rays had an 8-game winning streak. They sweep the Boston Red Sox. The first time any team this year has swept the Red Sox, who are unbelievable. And the Rays do it. They have an 8-game winning streak, but last night, that poor winning streak comes to an end. So I love seeing the Rays out there. They have a great record. Unfortunately, they are competing with the Yankees and the Red Sox, so it doesn't look like they have playoff aspirations. But we can see what ends up happening here in the next month or so. Anything can happen in baseball. We all know that. Baseball is one of those sports. All it does is take one team to get hot, and it looks like the Rays are getting hot. So hopefully they can keep it up and maybe make a run for it, but they're pretty far out right now. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I mean, they traded Archer this happens almost every August for the Rays, is they build up these guys for 4 or 5 years. We get excited about them. They look great, and then they get traded away. And I thought, when the Rays do this, they kind of go in a tailspin. They basically pack it up for the end of the season. They get ready for their, off-season vacation plans and everything. But not this year. This year they've been really hot in the month of August. And that 8-game winning streak, it was a fun ride. They didn't just, sweep the Red Sox. They were blowing them out. I think it was a 10-3 score in there. And if they played in like the NL West or the NL East, they would be in it. They'd be in the playoffs. The Braves have 74 wins. The Cubs are a little bit ahead of the Rays, but they're within striking distance at 77. And the Rockies and Diamondbacks both tied with 72 wins in that division. So the Rays could possibly win 85 to 90 games this season and miss the playoffs. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable, man. It is unbelievable. Sorry, I didn't have the sound effect up.
Your Honor, it was unbelievable.
Oh, man. This is kind of getting to be the exciting time in baseball. Last night, there was a great pitching matchup. Two of the Cy Young hopefuls were going at it, Aaron Nola and Max Scherzer. So Aaron Nola ended up pitching better than Max Scherzer last night, but in the last inning, the Phillies end up losing it to the Nationals. But it was a great matchup. Just all kinds of good stuff going on in baseball. We're going to get into it more as we get going. Again, that was that apology to the fans because I think we do need to give baseball a little bit more attention. So we'll come up. We won't go into it too crazy because we are football guys. We are basketball guys. Baseball we love, but I know that baseball is kind of a dying art out there. There's some diehards still, but it doesn't get the love like football does here in the greatest country in the world, the United States.
Yeah, but with September coming up, I'm excited for the show. I'm excited for sports. You got the start of college football season. The first 4 weeks got a ton of great matchups. You have NFL football season starting up. You're going to know right away if your fantasy football team is worth a damn or not. And you have MLB baseball winding down. You have the division races. You have the wild card races. This season kind of stinks because the wild card race is really just going to be between who's going to finish first in the AL East on that side. But the wild card race on the NL side looks to be shaping up to be pretty exciting. So I'm ready for it, man. But that's all the time we have today. Please tune in at 7:30. We'll talk more and more sports, a little after dark stuff, a little more shenanigans, a little more, that line that we have, it's going to be moved tonight. So we're looking to cross it as well.
Oh, yeah, let's cross that line. All right, guys, thank you for listening in.
Peace.